Another day, another banger. Yo, so what just happened was I just recorded like a 12-minute total super banger. And then I go to check it, and none of it saved. Super angry, but this is a good lesson in like obstacles will arise if you're not paying attention to each detail. When you have a momentum, like things will come to just mess you up, right? Someone will call at the wrong time, which is what happened here because I used my phone to record and I didn't have it on silent. You'll get a stomach ache, you'll get sick, blah, blah, blah. You won't feel like doing it. The obstacles will arise as you go to make a banger, and they are to be expected. And as you keep raising your vibration, as you keep moving up, as you keep advancing in your career, the obstacles will get stronger. It's like a video game. But you don't need to be afraid of it. You just need to be vigilant, and you need to be clear that, okay, this is going to happen. So let me be sharp at every step of the way. And to recover what I just spoke about, I'm not going to speak for another 12 minutes, but I want to give you a condensed version of what I just spoke about, which is what I speak about in every video. You got to make a banger. It's like now is the moment you got to decide to make a banger. Like right now, put your horse blinders on and move forward with the steps. Decide it's a banger. That's the underlying foundation. Then the first step is have a proper palate, double P. Right, make sure you have a good taste. If you don't have good taste, you don't know what's good. If you're only used to eating McDonald's and then you go to a fancy steak restaurant, you can't appreciate it because your reference is only McDonald's. So a lot of the problems with music these days is like people's reference is just McDonald's and like junk food music, and there's no depth, right? There's not a reference to it. So a lot of music is like taking imagery from deep things, but not respecting the history of it, right? The second step is having a terrific teacher. I'm grateful that my parents showed me great art from a young age. Like the first step, proper palate. You got to know good. You got to know what's good. You got to have a good taste. You got to know the classics, what has lasted over time. Terrific teacher. My parents were my first teachers. Show me Thriller, show me Bob Marley, show me Sibelius, Miles Davis, and then my guitar teacher. I was into Korn and stuff like that, and then he was like, no, man, you need to know about Slayer. You need to understand the history of metal. And he burned me a CD of all the best Slayer songs, all the best Metallica songs, Testament, Megadeth, all these classic albums, and I'm so super grateful for him. Thank you, George. And that again was like he was showing me, he was passing on to me the proper palate, the correct taste, and enabling me to widen and deepen my taste in this genre that I loved and I was going into, which was metal. And then, when I started making rap, I had gotten into Eminem and Dr. Dre, but I didn't go deep into it. I got into them when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, but then I got fully deep, more immersed into it in high school. And I was like, I understood from my parents and from my piano teacher and from George, my guitar teacher, mainly my guitar teacher, that I need to understand the history of it. I'm going to make hip-hop. I love hip-hop. I have an interest in hip-hop. I need to understand the history. So I started on Wikipedia and the library. And I started from the beginning of hip-hop. A lot of old school stuff, Run DMC, Schoolie D. And I went to the library and checked out these CDs, all from this era. Eric B. and Rakim, EPMD. And I put all these on my computer, and I feel like I lived through the entire history of hip-hop. But this was so vital for me to become a good hip-hop producer, and I knew that from my history. And that's important for you guys too. Like, you need to understand where hip-hop came from if you're making hip-hop music. If you're making rap music, you don't need to listen to old school all the time, but you need to understand where it came from, and you need to understand what was good in that time. I think Eric B. and Rakim and Schoolie D are probably my favorites. Schoolie D's beats, especially during the old school. I'm not a huge Run DMC fan, but, and then you get into NWA and you get into Eazy-E, and you understand the West Coast and the different sounds. And I would be on Wikipedia and Crate Kings and be looking up the history of hip-hop. And I felt like I lived through the entire history of hip-hop. Then I got into Tribe and Nas and Biggie and Tupac, Jay-Z, Kanye, Pharrell, and then so on. But I built my foundation, and I was preparing myself in high school, listening to that, trying my best to emulate what were the songs that I liked. Dr. Dre being my top influence as a producer. And I went into college really all right, I'm from the suburbs, so I got to know my shit. And because I'm making this stuff, I'm making hip-hop, so I want to respect the genre. I want to respect the culture. I was researching Big L, Big Pun, all the classic albums, ordering them from Amazon when they didn't have them at the library. And, I went to college and I was all getting ready. I was like, all right, I know my hip-hop history. I hope I'm okay. And then I get there. It's 2008. 808s and Heartbreak just comes out. And I'm flabbergasted because people are around me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Big L? I'm like, no. Like, you don't know Big L? Look, if you're making hip-hop, you need to know who Big L is. I don't care if you listen to him every day. One of the best underrated rappers. It shows, if you know who Big L is, it shows that you know your stuff. And you have a respect for the culture. Right? So you got to respect the culture. You got to. You can't just come in and take from it. Art is sacred. Any art you go into, you need to understand the history and what's good. And you're being able to have reverence for that and understand the subtleties are the foundation of what are going to make you a good producer or a good artist. So you got to do your research. There's no excuse now with the internet. Before it had to be handed person to person, and it still kind of does. But now it's a lot more open, and you can just search many albums that lasted over the years and what are classics. You can watch things and get put onto it right away. But really dive into it if you don't know an artist. If you don't know Big L and you're making rap, you shouldn't make rap music. Right? It's that serious. You got to go back to the drawing board and listen to Big L. You got to listen to Big Pun. You got to listen to Cameron's early stuff. You got to listen to Capone and Noriega. You got to respect whatever you're going into and understand who came before. If you don't have that reference, then you don't have taste. Then you can't make a banger. These are all foundational elements. First is decide it's a banger. Then you need to have good taste. You need to know what's good. You need to know your taste. You need to have a teacher. The teacher saves you years. Yeah, sure, you can learn it on your own, but good luck. It took me 19 years learning all this stuff. Right? So the benefit of you joining my program, How to Make a Banger University, is you save 19 years. I wish I had something like this when I first started. Someone to tell me, don't do this, do this. Stop being in your head, go and release it. And tell me their mistakes so I can learn from someone else. So that's what I want to provide to you guys. I want you to be able to learn like a genius. A genius learns from other people's mistakes. A regular person learns from their own mistakes. All right, so you have the opportunity now to learn from my mistakes, which I want you to, because I went through all this stuff, and if I were to go back, I would do things much differently, starting with the correct creation cycle, making and releasing, creating and releasing. You got to do that together harmoniously, or else it's imbalanced, and then you release it and you get discouraged because you wait too long and energy gets blocked. And everything goes down the tubes if you don't release stuff. You need to gather your own data. You need to see in reality. As artists, we live in the etheric realm. We live in the feminine energy. We live in the creation energy. But we need to balance with the masculine energy and ground it into the earth and put it out and see how it's doing and see how we feel about that. So, and then third step, keep it gutter. You like take the imperfect action. Put it out. Right? And always strive to seek and look like, what is the next good music? Where is the purity? Where is the potency? Based on your reference, then you can spot good art. Then you can be able to see what's good art in terms of your own art. But you have to put in action and work. You got to put in 10,000 hours. I saw a video about a violinist, and she practices 3 to 4 hours a day. She said anyone in a professional level of classical music practices 3 to 4 hours a day. All right, so think about that. You want to be a producer, you want to be an artist. Are you practicing 3 to 4 hours a day? I doubt it. Like, you got to take this serious. You got to make a Google Doc that says your name as an artist, LLC, you're the president, you're the boss. And this is your job. You got to, I wish I treated this like a business from the beginning. I'm an artist and I'm a business. I can make money from music. You can make money from music. There's not only one way. It's not just by being signed. So track every penny. One of my students made his first penny. Congratulated him. Because that shifts things in the subconscious. It's like, I did make money on it. If you make $1, 1 penny, it's movement. Everything adds up. All right, we got the stairs to success. Every stair is important. Do not devalue the steps you have to take. You can't jump from here to here. You can't do it. Walk up each step and understand it's up here. Like I talked about in another video. What if I told you your 759th song will blow up? But everything else will do pretty bad, like 2 views, 0 views. Then that would give you motivation to keep going. So I want you to think about it like that. As long as you don't give up, you will have success. And you'll maintain a full battery. So, yeah, another 12 minutes. Another day, another banger. If the footage gets deleted, if your hard drive gets deleted, if whatever, you go right now. Don't lament about the past. Time to make a banger right now. If you want to release your songs every month and get into momentum, join the Finishers Club. Go to finishers.club with 2 N's because I'm Finnish. Have a great day. Peace.